Sky, the anthropocosmonaut. How you doing? So today I want to talk about the voice. I feel like today's popular perspective, or at least understanding of the voice, is how we sound, how we can sing, or how far our voice can move, our capability to speak. We value people's use of the voice, if you will, whether it's through song or speech or conversation. And I think we can easily tell those who do kind of like the sound of their voice. Maybe I do. I don't know. For me, what I discovered, at least for what I'm beginning to learn, the voice is for me. The voice is not actually how I sound for me. It's not the voice that people know me as. For me, the voice is actually your resonance. The resonance that also announces your presence. We can all tell in people's tone, how they speak, kind of what mood they're in. And usually, I feel when we think about what we say or we allow thoughts to affect us, it takes control of our voice. We can generally tell when someone's not in a good mood. We can tell visually by their face, but we can also tell with their tone if they're feeling a little irritated, annoyed, or happy, or a little gumptuous, if you will. For me, the voice has been, throughout my life as a writer, this threshold in which I enter into, that the voice is actually a vessel within me, if you will. That I experience myself as a body, and that I feel contained in this body, but I also feel contained in a different way. I feel contained within a voice. Because what we attach to our voice is largely our personality, our presence, our confidence, or our more lower emotions, our anger, our fear. People know that voice. We go to that voice, whether it's music or a speaker, if you will. And we can see how that voice kind of translates onto the page. So how do we come closer to knowing what our voice is? This is kind of a mystical question we ask. What is my voice? Where is my voice? How can I discover my voice? And I think there's been this push in marketing through Hollywood and the music industry to discover that your voice is something to sing outward solely, or to be fluent and able to talk well and with intelligence. And I feel like people have capitalized on people's organic, unique situation that is their voice. People find their voice because once we leave this body, in a way the voice acts as the body vessel form into the next, beyond, whether it's after death or a dream. But for me, being a writer, whenever I retract out of my physical body, essentially, I go into that body that is my voice, and I found myself just reading or writing for hours to be occupied in a vessel, in a craft that can take me anywhere. That's why fiction telling, in my opinion, may not always be fiction in a relevant sense. I mean, a lot of sci-fi stories have revealed a possible future that happens. And sometimes if we look at a universal scale of more extraterrestrial civilizations possibly existing on the other side of our galaxy, we could, by mental intellecty, by intuition, a vision, could be peering into another world. And the way we extrapolate it as writers is how we can build the clearness of that channel, if you will. For me, fiction or poetry isn't just the sense of writing a poem or writing a story, because we're still kind of defining and wanting to understand what exactly a story is, or a voice is, or a poem is. And for me, I've taken this in because breath practice and meditation has been part of civilizations and religions for eons. Just breath work, or in general, the prayer or reading the Bible out loud, there is this activation that occurs when we interact with a certain breath technique or a certain language. If we're reading a poem or a Bible or something out loud, or bringing out a prayer. We realize that the voice can act as a transport that delivers a message, but also an image or a visual for people. The magic, unexplainable phenomena that it is me speaking to you. And me speaking to you, and how somehow it tinkles. It's like when you throw in little coals into a fire and you see it tinkle. It tinkles on your brain, and maybe you're totally understanding me, maybe you're following me, or you're not understanding me, or you're actually feeling exactly what I'm saying as if you're speaking it, but I'm the one saying it for you. It's no wonder that we go to examples. We need examples in our life to represent a value in us. We go to famous speakers, philosophers, poets, and we put them on our wall, and we layer our wall up with these people that have physical forms like us, but have within them, occupying within them, a voice that carries far into the future. And for me, my writing has been wanting to go towards a supreme inspiration level where everybody can occupy that voice, that no longer will we need to put famous musicians and famous writers and thinkers up on a pedestal, because when we have done that through our centuries, we've kind of barricaded you and I and every other normal human being we call each other from accessing and experiencing and expanding consciousness within them, which wants to take place, which wants to open up, which wants you to know it. And so the voice, I've been realizing, is this kind of transport. It's a channel. And the more you kind of strengthen it through different practices, which it's not just breath work, it's how we integrate the breath into us, how we integrate the resonance and move it through our limbs, move it through our emotional and spiritual body, if you will. When we talk about the etheric and the astral, a lot of New Age has provided great vernacular to kind of describe it. And for me, we don't quite see what that emotional layer is. We feel it more as like a liquid. It's like this liquid response that moves into us and seeps into us. And then the astral seems to occupy a place that we don't really see. Like right now, as I'm talking, there's an astral body, let's just say. We can get a glimpse of it somewhat in dreams, and even more somewhat through reading a poem or story, where we can see how our or even visual meditation, how our astral body is interacting. And it's interacting in between two different places. I mean, where does our breath come from? I mean, everything has its involution and evolution. It has its linking back to one thing. So the very enactment, the allowance of having air, comes from the sun, comes from something even more greater in a law. So where does it draw to? Where does that voice take us to? And I think that's what it is to discover your voice. Where does your voice lead you to? How do you start to begin a relationship with the voice? And I'll talk about that in time as I'm sharing this with you. But for now, I'll make this a part one of so many other kind of part one videos I have that I hope to come back to in a more linear scale. But this was today's thought. So this is Sky, the cosmonaut. Keep an eye on the commentary. I might add some more stuff. But thanks for listening.